The sun is shining in the sky, hardly a cloud in sight, and we are going to have a fantastic race here today.
Drivers, start your engine!
Cause we want retribution. Yeah, we want retribution.
But coming to the green here, it's getting cleaned out real well. Pace car's off, kick some ass.
There's the green flag and we're underway.
Green, 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 green. Outside, still there at your door. Good job, man. Nice and solid. Take care of your stuff.
Three wide.
Here, Hawkins into the wall.
Oh, big trouble!
Crash in the back. Oh, there's a crash in the back.
Trouble.
Great job, doing awesome, buddy.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Darlington Raceway, where tonight it is our, I would say, 15th race of the season. It is the Southern 500, and officially, this is our first trip here to the Darlington Raceway. We were originally going to be here, obviously, back in 2020, but unfortunately, those plans did get cut short, but now here we are, 5 years later. It is, we're here. I don't even know where else to really begin, as we are back to WRLA Pepsi Cup Series racing for the first time since earlier on in the season, of almost a month ago in July at Indianapolis. Just in case if you guys were not with us for that race, it was a pretty uneventful day at the Brickyard that saw Emily Anderson make history by not only grabbing her second win on the year, but also her fourth Pepsi Cup Series win, which makes her the all-time winningest driver in WRLA, surpassing Emmanuel Hartnett, who currently has 3 wins on his resume. We didn't have qualifying earlier here today, unfortunately. Obviously, you know, there was a lot of sort of last-minute planning behind the scenes, so qualifying was canceled. And as you can see, the starting lineup is currently set via the points. Therefore, you see Terry Walker on the pole position and Russell Blaze starting in the runner-up spot. Skylar Taylor, Kyle Craven, and Emily Anderson all round out your top 5. And speaking of your points standings, or really point standings, really referring to those, let's go ahead and take a look at your point standings coming into tonight's race. Of course, Terry Walker barely holding onto the points lead, but not by much. Russell Blaze breathing down Terry Walker's neck by 5 points. He is really hungry and wanting this points lead, and is very determined to get it after tonight. As we scroll through the rest of your point standings, there's Valkyrie Atikian dropped outside of the top 10 in the points. Naya Steidel a little bit further back as well. There's Caleb Rose, who was 15th in points. He drops to 19th in the standings, as we're going to take a look on the next page. And there are some drivers that actually did have some pretty decent runs at the Brickyard. Unfortunately, I don't believe Wyatt Walker was one of them, as he currently finds himself just outside of the top 25 in the point standings. But there was Val Moscow, who finished runner-up in the points. He finds himself inside of the top 30, as here's the rest of your point standings. There is CG Halt, Claire Phillips, Bonsignor, Sebastian Vaughn, even Aaron Abel, unfortunately, currently finds himself dead last in the point standings. Well, as far as the top 6 drivers that you might be wondering exactly who's in this race, well, we're going to go ahead and show you. These are the top 6 drivers. Well, the 6 part-time cars that will be racing. You see Josiah Munsell, Ray Atikian, Nikki Fox, Joshua Cornish, Martin Nixon, and Ajax Fitzgerald. They will make up the rear end of the field. But this is going to be a very fun night here at the Darlington Raceway. 184 laps of action here at the track. Too tough to tame. It has earned such a reputation for that particular reason. Some drivers might be getting their Darlington stripes just by scraping the wall. Some of them, well, they probably might have themselves not the best of days. Others will probably have a really good day. But Blaze definitely for sure is looking to try to take the points lead after tonight, try to take it away from Terry Walker, and it's definitely going to be a pretty interesting night here at Darlington. Drivers are strapped into their cars. Pre-race ceremonies are just now starting to wrap up, but in order to get these 42 cars rolling, we got to get the command to fire the engines. So let's go trackside and get just that. Might have gone maybe just a little bit early, so another 10 seconds. The command will be given to fire the engines, so now here we go. Let's go trackside and get the command.
Drivers, start your engines.
And there it is. Pace car will roll off, and so will these 42 cars. And as they do so, they will go from single file on pit road and break into their double file pace formation. And we'll be ready to go green flag racing from here at the Darlington Raceway. Kind of funny that you notice that the first two rows are occupied by rookies. Of course, Terry Walker, Russell Blaze, starting on the front row, Skylar Taylor, Kyle Craven occupying the second row. Obviously, for those that are tuning in, starting lineup has been set via points, so that's why the first two rows consist of four rookies, and then you got the veterans of Emily Anderson and Zachary Fitzwater starting in the third row on back. I mean, obviously on back is a mix of veterans and rookies alike. But as the field comes through turn number 4, pace car is going to drop off, and this puts the field in the hands of Terry Walker and Russell Blaze to lead the field down to the green flag and get the Southern 500 underway from here in Darlington. A fantastic start for Terry Walker as he's going to jump out with the race lead out of turn number 2 and into the third corner. Taylor is going to challenge for that second position on Russell Blaze, and they'll get just that and try to get two birds with one stone. Across the stripe, it will be Terry Walker leading the first lap of action. He'll get that one bonus point towards the championship. And Taylor wasting no time, going to the inside to try to take the race lead away, but Skylar Taylor wound up hitting the apron coming off of turn number 2, and that's going to hinder their progress on trying to get around this 48 for the top spot. I'm going to try it again coming through turn number 4. Same song, a little bit of a similar dance, if you will, as Walker's able to use that outside line to his advantage and will rocket around the 41 and will clear Skylar Taylor for that top position. And Taylor might fall into the clutches of Russell Blaze here, who is sitting in the third position. Emily Anderson walking up the racetrack just a little bit. That opens up the door for Stephen Colon to drive low. Another two-time winner this season. He won at Rockingham earlier this year and then Sonoma over the summer. So Stephen Colon definitely coming alive once again here for the 2025 season. Has kind of had an up and down sort of year, but as of right now, Colon doing a pretty nice job early in the going, sitting inside of the top 5. Emily Anderson has been pretty quiet, but has nabbed 2 wins this year, obviously at the Wreckfest race at the dumpster fire race at North Wilkesboro, and then just a month ago at Indianapolis, both of which driving a Mountain Dew paint scheme. Every single win that Emily Anderson has gotten throughout her WRLA career has been in a Mountain Dew scheme. So Anderson would definitely love to bring the Haas Automation colors to victory lane at some point. Maybe try to get win number 3 on the year and add on to such a amazing career that has been. I don't even know where else to really go with that. That's just been absolutely outstanding for Emily Anderson. Just obviously with 4 wins to her career. She got her first win came at Texas in 2017. Then she won at Richmond in 2020. And then here we are 5 years later. She already has 2 wins on the season. And that 4th win of her career got her to the #1 spot on the all-time wins list here in the WRLA. But coming to 7 laps complete, looks like everybody has chilled out into a single file formation until you get back to over here. That's Andrew Ramsey in the 67, currently in trouble. I wouldn't say too much of in trouble, but see right here, he's currently sitting in the 24th spot, trying to fend off a challenge from Braden Perez as they head back through turn 1. Give the advantage over to Ramsey. Now, Ramsey's another driver that has kind of had an up and down kind of season, but so far as we noticed in the point standings, he is very low, around 25th in points. That is a huge hit from what he's had earlier this year. I mean, he's been as high as around the top 10 in the points. I would say right around 8th, but unfortunately, as the season progressed, he sort of took a little fall in the points, took a little fall in the standings, and now finds himself just outside of the top 20. Battle for 20th looks to be taking place here between Zachary Taylor and Tanner Parton. But Taylor's going to win that fight and will maintain the 20th position. Tanner Parton's another driver that I thought was going to have himself a pretty good year. And for the most part, I'd say it's been all right. Not the greatest, but not the worst either in his sophomore season. After winning at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park in 2023 in a very dominating fashion. Now driving for Vision Motorsports here, and unfortunately has not had the best of luck, but definitely not the worst either. Kind of been right in that gray area for Tanner Parton, and here we are in this race. He's kind of in that gray area once again, finding himself in the 21st position. Take a look further up at the front of the field. There's Kyle Craven in 28. He tried to take a peek to the inside of Stephen Colon. That would have been the battle for 5th, but as we're seeing here, the top side looks to be the preferred way to go. These cars definitely grip up to the high side a lot easier than what they would normally when they go to the bottom of the racetrack, and that's what we saw there with Craven. He just lost a position to Ryan Little here in this 27, and looks like Cologne trying to do the same thing, trying to go for 4th on Anderson. Not quite able to make that happen as the front 4 are going to start to check out a little bit. Meanwhile, up here, fight for what looks to be for the 18th position. Alexander Rowe trying to take it away from Caleb Rose, and going to try it again coming through turn 4. Not able to make that run stick as, again, that outside definitely proving to have a lot more acceleration on corner exit. Quentin Moore and Reagan Whitlock fighting it out. What looks to be for the 14th spot, but Whitlock not able to make the bottom work whatsoever. They're able to make that. They're able to get some speed down in the bottom because some of these drivers are moving up to the top and they're sort of lifting a little bit, kind of a little bit more than what they normally would. But that doesn't seem to. I mean, obviously, it seems to work for a little bit for drivers that are running the bottom of the racetrack through the turns, but that corner exit speed is what's helping some of these drivers that move up top, it's what's helping them, get that, retain those positions, if you will. I mean, we just kind of saw it right there between Quentin Moore and Eric Monaco. Monaco moved up high and looked like Quentin Moore was going to try to make a run on the bottom of the racetrack. And unfortunately, it just Moore lost a little bit of speed coming off of turn number 4, that last lap around. And up front, it looks like Skylar Taylor tried to make a move for the lead, but definitely checked up quite a bit as Terry Walker starting to pull away from Skylar Taylor in this number 41. But I tell you what, though, it's pretty early here in this Southern 500, so just about anything could wound up happening as this race progresses on. But as I mentioned, since it is pretty early in this session and early in this event, everybody's just trying to try to keep their cars in one piece for the most part, and make it to that first round of green flag pit stops, because we know for sure once we see that happen, some strategies are going to be a little bit split. I mean, obviously not in that first round, because just about everybody's going to come on down pit road to kick off, obviously to start off our first round of green flag pit stops. But once we get further on into the event and we have more rounds of pit stops come through, or at least once they come up, once more pit stops come up, the strategy is going to be a little bit more split than what we would normally see at the beginning of an event. So that is going to be another thing to watch out for as this race continues. And it looks like Stephen Colon opening up the door here for Ryan Little. Little getting a quarter panel underneath of getting a left front fender, a right front fender underneath of the left rear quarter panel of Stephen Colon there. But obviously you saw Colon have the better run on corner exit off of turn number 4, that last lap around. But so far, 20 laps complete, and Terry Walker has led every single lap thus far, with Skylar Taylor sitting in the 2nd position, Russell Blaze sitting in 3rd, then Emily Anderson in 4th, Stephen Colon completing your top 5, then it's Ryan Little in 6th, Kyle Craven in 7th, Valkyrie Atikian sitting in the 8th position, then 9th is Zachary Fitzwater and Campbell Marsh rounding out your top 10. It's like the 27 of Little trying to use the high side to his advantage, try to see if he can trying to experiment a little bit. Looks like he's trying to use that outside to generate a good run on the 25 of Cologne, and it kind of worked a little bit for the most part, but I wouldn't say it was groundbreaking though, as he does stay glued to the back bumper of this number 25 as they head back through turn 3 and 4. But look at this, Anderson moves high, trying to open up the door here, and look at that corner exit speed, trying to make a great run to try to get around Russell Blaze for 3rd, but Anderson clips the apron. Battle for the top spot is on, as Skylar Taylor, you saw there, trying to take a peek to the inside, but both times that 41 just clipped the apron, and that's what's going to allow Terry Walker to check out yet again, at least for the moment. And some of these guys are already moving up towards the top end of the racetrack, obviously to get that good corner exit speed. Look at Nia Steidel here in this number 6. Unfortunately, just clipped the apron right there. She's gonna lose some ground to Reagan Whitlock in the 9. She just did it again right there, and that's what we could see Abby Walker try to get around the 6 of Steidel from the outside. That almost happened. I mean, that could have happened, and it almost did, but unfortunately, Walker was not able to obviously pull up to the outside. Outside of Steidel there, going through 3 and 4. Might try it again in a few laps' time if Steidel tries to, of course, stick to the bottom, or at least leave that outside opened up. Rose moves up to the high side. Trying to get a good corner exit speed. He looks low on the 18 of Abby Walker, heading back into turn 1. Clips the apron there. That's definitely not a good thing to do. Obviously, as we've seen within the last 25 laps. But so far, I mean, everybody just kind of, really for the most part, just experimenting on where their cars are going to be running the very best at, and whether high or low. And Reagan Whitlock definitely used that high side to her advantage, tried to take it downstairs on the 04 of Quentin Moore, and that, you know, again, that apron being an Achilles heel for some of these drivers that are definitely trying to use that bottom to their advantage. And so far, there just really hasn't been a whole lot of progress made. Walker to the outside. Here comes Caleb Rose, and here comes Alexander Rowe in that 34, using that. Got a great run and stayed right behind the 18 of Walker to try to get this really good run. And here comes Rowe to try to take that 17th spot, or that 18th position, away from Caleb Rose. That was a really great textbook pass there from the 34 Rowe, as now he's going to come across the stripe and take that 18th spot away. Here's Noah Clifton in the 99, who has won 2 races throughout his Pepsi Cup Series career. He won at Rockingham in 2020, and then won on the dirt at Bristol in 2023, trying to search for his 3rd Pepsi Cup Series win and 1st on the season. Clifton has kind of had himself somewhat of an abysmal season. Ennis Racing, with the exception of Zachary Fitzwater, has just not had a great year whatsoever. Of course, for Nathan Stapleton, he's kind of had similar momentum to what he had in the NRLA McDonald's Cup Series last year. Really wasn't too much of a factor, unfortunately, and that's proven to be the same case here. And that's kind of the disadvantage of the starting lineup being set via points. I mean, it obviously did not work in Stapleton's favor whatsoever. So obviously he's currently sitting in the 35th position as of right now, and this season has just not fared too well for him. Andrew Miller has had a few moments under the sun this year, but unfortunately this year's just really not been the greatest at all for the 96 of Miller. And then, as we mentioned, Noah Clifton in the 99. He's been pretty fast in qualifying, and he's shown a lot of speed in qualifying, but unfortunately, sometimes he'll have good races, but the numbers really do not back up the results, or the results really don't back up the runs that he's been able to put together, race in and race out throughout the 2025 season. So Noah Clifton looking to try to end off the season strong here with just a small handful of races remaining here in this season. We're already kind of noticing as well that some of these drivers are starting to back up the corners a little bit more, and already into the wall. That's the 96 of Andrew Miller. Well, if you're keeping count, folks, that's number 1. That is the first. Andrew Miller is the first driver to earn his Darlington stripe here at the Darlington Raceway. Look at this, almost 3 wide there. 3 wide here at Darlington could usually be, is not always favored, obviously, judging from the width of the turns and also from the racetrack altogether. 3 wide is just usually not preferred here at Darlington. You could do it on the straightaways, but you got to be quick about it. Look at Bonsinger in the 22 trying to make a move on Andrew Miller, trying to get to the inside, or at least he did get to the inside, but Andrew Miller using that huge acceleration that he got off of turn 4 to his advantage, and he will retain the 28th position on the racetrack. But we go a little bit further back up front of the field. There's Quentin Moore. In the 04, there's Reagan Whitlock going to the top of the racetrack, and here comes Steidl to try to take advantage. Unfortunately, did not have a great run going through 4, but Reagan Whitlock did, and she's going to take it downstairs heading into turn 1, but she clips the apron once again. That bottom of the racetrack obviously is not always going to be your best friend when it comes to getting great runs. And in the background, we saw Andrew Miller scrape the wall again coming off of turn number 2. So that right side is being used up a little bit more than what Miller wants. Battle for looks to be the 17th position is on as Abby Walker trying to take the fight to Alexander Rowe so far, edging ahead midway through the corner, but Rowe able to use that acceleration to his advantage to retain that 17th position, and Caleb Rose going to the outside, and that will be for the 19th spot. And here we go. Pit stops are taking place here on lap 37. Lots of cars coming on down pit road, and Emily Anderson's going to stay out, so she will lead lap 37. I would have to imagine Terry Walker, yes, Walker, Skylar Taylor, Russell Blaze, Stephen Colon, Kyle Craven, and others, they are coming down pit road. So this is the first wave of cars coming in, and now here comes the second wave. A little bit of double file here. Be careful. Oh, Steidl getting sort of roughhousing with Reagan Whitlock coming into the pits. Not really all that preferred there, Naya. I'm not sure if you want to do that. But Steidl saying, hey, let me just hurry up so we can get into the pits. I mean, that's kind of, not really sure what else to say to that. But anyways, Caleb Rose, Zachary Taylor, Braden Perez and others, they're going to surrender their spots to come on down pit road, and looks like that will complete our first round of green flag pit stops. And after all that, I'm pretty sure that first place, well, that Terry Walker will cycle back up to the top position after completing 40 laps of action here in the Southern 500. Anderson is going to rejoin the track. He's going to rejoin the racing surface. And your top 10 after all of that is going to look like this. Terry Walker. Actually, we'll wait. We'll actually wait until the field cycles back through before we give you your top 10, your current top 10 status after 40 laps here at Darlington. So now as Terry Walker is going to cycle through turn number 4. And this should put Terry Walker back in the lead with Skylar Taylor in second. With now Stephen Colon moving up into the 3rd position. Russell Blaze getting kicked back to 4th. Challenges on here between Rogel Dorn and Kyle Craven. Craven currently holds on to the 5th position. Rogel Dorn coming out of nowhere to file into the 6th position. Emily Anderson in 7th. And here comes Abby Walker to try to contest. She's currently 8th. Ryan Little 9th. And how about this? Alex Bonsignor rounds out your top 10 with now 41 laps complete here in the Southern 500. Now here's another driver who is very deep in the point standings and has just been wanting nothing but just a win or a great finish to this season. For Bonsignor, it has just been absolutely just so painful to watch him just struggle through this 2025 season. Just very deep in the point standings, poor results. And now here he is currently running inside of the top 10 here in the Southern 500. So far putting together a great result here in these 43 laps that are about to be completed here right about now. Here's Emily Anderson gonna try to go to the inside here. Unfortunately, was not able to capitalize on a great on a run there, but she's gonna start sliding back and lose a little bit of ground to Rogel Dorn and might fall into the clutches of Emily Anderson, or of not Emily Anderson, fall into the clutches of herself apparently. But Abby Walker or even Ryan Little are at Bonsignor. Bonsignor got a great run coming off of turn 4, tried to take it downstairs on Ryan Little, but unfortunately was not able to make anything happen down there. So he'll slide right back in line and will retain that 10th position, at least for the moment. But the top 3 have all checked out between Terry Walker, Stephen Colon, and Skylar Taylor. Taylor in the 41, Colon in the 25. And here's something pretty interesting. Obviously, as for those that may not know, Skylar Taylor is, of course, a Pepsi Cup Series winner. They won at Las Vegas earlier back in March. And Stephen Colon, everybody knows. Of course, Cologne, people will know that Cologne wound up winning at Rockingham and as well as Sonoma over the summer. And now Cologne trying to take a peek to the inside, heading into turn 1 to try to challenge for that second spot. Unfortunately, going to lose a little bit of ground there, heading through 1 and 2. Trying to do everything he can to use the bottom to his advantage, and that just is not going to be the case whatsoever. As now Cologne is just going to be staring at the back bumper of this number 41 of Skylar Taylor as they come off of 4 and head down the front straightaway. But Terry Walker has led a good 95% of this race. He's led since the drop of the green flag, and I mean, this is usually the case here if you are the points leader and also start on the pole with the starting lineup being set by points, because this actually just falls right into your wheelhouse, if you will, because you can take advantage of the points. You can take advantage of just being out front and trying to get one step closer to getting those 5 bonus points for leading the most laps. And if you're somebody like Russell Blaze, that is definitely not what you want to see whatsoever. He currently, because those bonus points obviously don't get put into effect until after this race. So currently 5 points, for those that don't know, 5 points separate Terry Walker and Russell Blaze in the championship. And the fact that Walker was able to get a bonus point and try to increase that points lead by just 1 point currently, even if it's just 1 point, that's what Russell Blaze does not want to see whatsoever. Blaze has been very hungry and trying to get this points lead away from Terry Walker and Walker Family Motorsports. And I mean, and who could blame him? He's had a really great season so far. Finally got a win at Nashville earlier this season, back in June. And I would definitely have to believe that this 69 team for Durrani Racing, I mean, is still very poised to try to get their first championship in their first outing. Even with Russell Blaze in his first Pepsi Cup Series outing, also trying to go for his first title. Rogel Dorn, same case for him, but Dorn has not had himself the greatest of seasons, but is definitely having himself a pretty good turnaround as of right now, running in the 6th position here in this race. He's going to get challenged by Emily Anderson. Unfortunately, Anderson once again struggling to try to get that bottom line working and struggling to not hit the apron, because that apron will slow you down. And we've seen that time and time again within these first 50 laps of this race. And if she's not careful, that could leave an opening for Abby Walker to get to the outside of the 4 of Emily Anderson. Ryan Little trying to use that bottom to his advantage, and that's going to open the door for Alex Bonsignor to drive around the outside of the 27 of Little. And that might open up the door for Zachary Fitzwater here, who's also knocking on the door to get inside of the top 10. Marsh to the inside, and look at that. Zachary Fitzwater here in this 98, who led the points for, I'd probably say, a good first third or first half of the season. kind of fell back a little bit in the points, but as of right now, trying to at least try to maintain a top 5, top 10 in the points in the standings. And, you know, Fitzy's definitely done a really nice job this season. And look at this. Anderson is going to take away that 6th position because she wound up finding herself on the outside line. The preferred way to go here at the Darlington Raceway. And they're going to try to take it downstairs and put the block on the 86 of Dorn. Well, all that's happening, of course, you know, you got Abby Walker still sitting in that 8th spot. We're going to try to capitalize and try to fight for that 7th position that Rogel Dorn currently is in possession of. So far, no changes within the top 3. Terry Walker still leads the charge. Skylar Taylor still sitting in 2nd. And Stephen Cologne trying to go for win number 3 on the year. He currently sits in the 3rd spot. Skylar Taylor trying to go for their 2nd win on the season. And Abby Walker, or Terry Walker, excuse me, wrong Walker. Abby is trying to go for her 2nd win on the season, but for Terry's trying to go for his first Pepsi Cup Series win on the season. He's come close a couple of times this year. Could have won at Nazareth. Unfortunately, couldn't get the job done there as Nia Steidel went on to go win a very history-making 2nd Pepsi Cup Series win of her career. Those that may not know, Steidel is, of course, the first 2-time winner of the season of the 2025 calendar year. She not only became the first female driver to win back-to-back Pepsi Cup Series races, but to also become the first ever WRLA driver to win back-to-back races. So lots of history that was made there for Nia Steidel. She's trying to go for her 3rd win on the season, but right now not faring too well here after the first round of green flag pit stops. Finds herself 25th on the racetrack, still marred behind the 9 of Reagan Whitlock. Here's Andrew Ramsey, currently holding on to 22nd on the racetrack. Caleb Rose tried to go for that, but unfortunately just was not able to make that, not able to get the job done there. Coming around to complete 60 laps next time by. So far, there have really not been a lot of changes inside of the top 10 since we've seen Emily Anderson take away that 6th position from Rogel Dorn. And even as well as Alex Bonsignor take 9th away from Ryan Little. Now we got some battles taking place here. Abby Walker, Emily Anderson both tried to take it downstairs. For Anderson trying to get by Kyle Craven, and for Abby Walker trying to get around Rogel Dorn. That did not pay off for either driver. And as we look a little bit further back here, Zachary Fitzwater got a really good run here on Ryan Little. Still keeping it to the outside. As they head through turns 1 and 2, Fitzy still trying to, obviously he is trying to get inside of the top 10, and he might have a good opportunity to do so if Ryan Little chooses the bottom. Not quite the case here. Everybody still following within the tire tracks of one another, and the top 13 are currently all, or really I should say from 4th on back to 13th. 9 cars kind of all just within a line, while these 3 are in a zip code of their own. Now the 2nd round of green flag pit stops should be taking place here very shortly. I'd want to say right around, actually maybe like right around lap 74 is probably the next time we might see these guys come on down pit road. It's very, very possible. Anderson once again trying to use the bottom to her advantage, and once again just clipping the apron as kind of as what she's been doing the last few laps, and it just hasn't really quite worked out for her as far as, trying to get inside of the top 10 goes. How about Ajax Fitzgerald here in this 92? Fitzgerald started dead last in this race, started in the 42nd spot, and he now finds himself running 16th on the racetrack. Another driver that started pretty deep in the field due to the point standings, 32nd on the grid, but now finds herself 18th. That would be Claire Phillips in the number 5, who kicked off the year with the points lead, but just hasn't really been performing the greatest this season. Phillips trying to obviously try to recover her 2025 season before it's all said and done, and try to finish off the year strong here for her Pepsi for a rookie campaign here in the Pepsi Cup Series. Unfortunately, it just hasn't really been a great year for the 5 team. Wayne Lopez, who's also kind of had himself a pretty solid year, if I may say. He won't be returning to WRLA Pepsi Cup Series action after this year, as EGI will be downsizing to a 3-car operation in the 2026 season. So obviously Lopez is pretty content with that, and at this rate he's going to be racing as if he's got nothing to lose, because that's really the case. Lopez really doesn't have anything to lose at this point, so he can just go out and run as hard as he is able to. But right now he's currently finding himself in the 17th position, just about mid-pack. So it's going to be interesting to see how the rest of the season plays out for Wayne Lopez, as we're winding down on the 2025 season. And Emily Anderson once again tried to use the inside to her advantage, but it's kind of been used to her disadvantage, and that, from the looks of things, could open up the door for Rogel Dorn to go to the outside. And here comes the 22 of Bonsignor. He just moved up to the second line, and he's going to take it downstairs on the 18 of Abby Walker. And that's probably going to be troublesome for him, because you got Ryan Little in the 27 lurking in the background, but not able to capitalize on Bonsignor's mistake. Coming around to complete lap 69 here in the Southern 500 here at the Darlington Raceway for what I believe is our 15th outing here in the WRLA Pepsi Cup Series. For those that are just now tuning in, we have gone 69 laps under green flag conditions, and we're getting ready for our second round of green flag pit stops. Terry Walker has led a vast majority of this race. Emily Anderson has led a lap. I would also have to believe that Caleb Rose has wound up leading a lap as well, if memory serves me to be correct. We're also seeing some drivers obviously kind of back up the corners a little bit more, and that's what we're starting to see, some stack ups, when it comes to the racing product. And of course, and I don't even know where else I'm going with this, but Bonsignor is able to retain that 9th position, is going to try to chase down the 18 of Abby Walker for the 8th spot. Take a look further back in the field is Andrew Miller in the 96. He wound up getting into the outside wall twice before the first round of green flag pit stops began, earning his Darlington stripes. And so far, he's the only car that has made contact with the outside wall, but we've had 2 Darlington stripes, unfortunately, with 1 driver. But now it's 71. Now 72 laps complete. We should be getting ready for our round 2 of green flag pit stops from here at the Darlington Raceway. I believe another driver that has gotten into the outside wall, that is Braden Perez. Looks like he's another driver that has earned his Darlington stripe, so make that 2 drivers that have gotten into the outside wall here at the Darlington Raceway for their Darlington stripes, if you will. Here comes Cologne. He tried to use that bottom to his advantage there to take over that second position from Skylar Taylor. That just has not been the case whatsoever. And look at this. Here's a change for the 12th position. Valkyrie Atikian getting around the outside of the 38 of Campbell Marsh. So move Atikian up to the 12th position. And here we go again. Russell Blaze breaks off. He comes to pit road. I believe Terry Walker has also come down into the pits. No, he has not. So Blaze actually so far, from what I've seen, is the only driver that has come down pit road to start off our second round of green flag pit stops here in the Southern 500. Now Terry Walker comes on down, followed by the 25 of Stephen Colon. Any other takers coming on in? Bruno Diacomo is in. Same goes for the 5 of Claire Phillips. Andrew Miller comes down. Skylar Taylor's going to assume the race lead. Has themselves a pretty comfortable margin over Kyle Craven, but now Taylor's going to surrender the top spot and come on down to pit road. Same goes for the 28 of Kyle Craven. Rogeldorn is coming in, along with Abby Walker. Alex Bonsignor will join. Same goes for Nikki Fox and Fitzgerald and Parton. I do see the 67 of Andrew Ramsey. Clifton and others are also coming on down pit road on lap 77. So Emily Anderson holding on to this race lead. Looks like she's going to stay out for another lap. As Zachary Fitzwater, Valkyrie Atikian, Campbell Marsh, Wayne Lopez, and others come on down pit road for their green flag pit stops. Wyatt Walker, Zachary Taylor, both of those drivers are going to stay out. And I do believe right about here is where Emily Anderson's going to surrender. Should surrender the lead and come on down this time by. And here comes Ryan Little, who will follow suit. And here comes the 48 of Terry Walker to the inside of Russell Blaze. Remember, Blaze was the first car to come on down pit road. But you also got Terry Walker breathing down his neck. So I wonder if Blaze is going to have the top spot once this second round of green flag stops cycles through. We're about to find out. We are about to find out if Russell Blaze is going to have the race lead after this second round of green flag pit stops concludes. Emily Anderson has just started her pit stop. She's now on the left sides for her 4-tire stop. As the field cycles around, I do believe first place is going to cycle back to the 69 of Russell Blaze. How about this call right here? Talk about determination and the hunger of trying to take this points lead away. How about this call to be the first one on down pit road? And after all of that, it's going to give the 69 of Russell Blaze the top position here in the Southern 500 at Darlington. Terry Walker is currently sitting in the second position, just hunting, absolutely glued to the back bumper of this 69. He's going to try to get to the inside of Blaze coming off of turn 4. He's pulled up alongside, may not have the corner exit speed to assist him. Walker takes it downstairs. And he's going to edge ahead coming through turn 2, but who's going to have the corner exit speed? Give it to the 69 of Russell Blaze, but that 48 of Walker has a great amount of corner entry speed and is able to carry it through the corners. Pulls up to the back bumper of the 69 once again, and here we go again, down to the inside. Back into turn 1. Walker still trying to make it work. Can he clear up in front of the 69? He does. And Terry Walker is going to go back to the lead here in the Southern 500 at Darlington. Just 10 laps away from the halfway mark this time by. Stephen Cologne looking to try to get to the inside of Russell Blaze now. This time for the second position. He might be able to do it here. Actually, wait a minute, not quite the case. As Cologne is going to lose a little bit of ground as they come off of turn 2. So your top 10 now looks like this. Coming to 83 laps complete here in the Southern 500. Of course, Terry Walker takes the top position back, followed by Russell Blaze sitting in second. Then in third is Stephen Cologne. Skylar Taylor gets kicked back to fourth. Bruno Diacomo showing up inside of the top 5 for the first time tonight. Same goes for the 6 of Claire Phillips. Phillips currently showing up inside of the top 10 for the first time tonight as well. Rogel Dorn being shown in 7th, Alex Bonsignor 8th, Kyle Craven 9th, and Nikki Fox comes up inside of the top 10 for the first time tonight as well. How about Rogel Dorn trying to take the 6th position away from Claire Phillips? He'll successfully do it and will clear the 5 for P6 coming off of turn 2. But now the question is, will Bonsignor and Kyle Craven have a similar strategy in trying to get by this 5 of Phillips? Here goes Bonsignor downstairs on Phillips. Gonna clip the apron right here, but it isn't gonna really matter too much as Bonsignor gonna clip the apron again. And that's going to, that's definitely going to be beneficial there. That's going to be very, very beneficial for Claire Phillips, as Phillips got a really great run. Got some really good corner exit speed, was able to rocket away from Bonsignor for the moment. But Bonsignor right back on the attack again, going back into turn 1. And is he going to be able to clear up in front of Phillips this time? Not quite. It's Phillips still holding on the outside. What a great run here for Claire Phillips, trying to hold up on the outside line. Can Bonsignor once again gets a really great run coming off of turn 4, using the bottom to his advantage. This is actually the first time that we're really starting to see the bottom work. We saw it with Terry Walker earlier when he tried to take the race lead back, and now we're seeing it here with Bonsignor, but he's having a little bit of a tougher time clearing up in front of the 5 of Claire Phillips. Stays pretty much dead even with the 5 with Claire Phillips there. Bonsignor is not gonna give up. Bonsignor, if you know him, he is one tough son of a gun, and he will do absolutely anything and everything it takes to get a race position on the racetrack, or even if it's for first place, he will fight you for last if it meant anything to him. And every position on this racetrack absolutely matters, especially if you're in the shoes of Alex Bonsignor, who has had himself a very poor, abysmal season, much like Claire Phillips. And for Bonsignor, he would really love to get his season turned around before the 2025 year concludes. Same goes for the 5 of Claire Phillips. Neither one is giving an inch to each other, as they're kind of just stuck. Bonsignor is able to get out ahead, but it's Claire Phillips who has the great exit coming off of turn number 2, and Kyle Craven is just right here, and he's watching it all unfold. Man, we really don't want to go anywhere here, because this is just some really good stuff that we're seeing in the Southern 500 at Darlington. It may not be for the race lead, but even if it's a fight for 7th, it is proving to be absolutely exciting action between Phillips and Bonsignor. This is the veteran in Bonsignor holding off the rookie, or being held off by the rookie of Phillips, who is getting some great runs coming off of turn number 2 and turn 4 from the outside. And this time she's going to be able to clear Bonsignor, at least for the moment. And Bonsignor right back on the attack again. Watching ahead, is he going to be able to clear up in front of the 5? This time he does. He leaves the top side open for the moment, but now this time he's going to cover that spot. So move Bonsignor up into the 7th position. Now here comes Kyle Craven to try to do the same thing that Bonsignor had been doing to Claire Phillips, just absolutely working her over until she isn't able to hold off that spot anymore. So far, Phillips has done an absolutely incredible job just staying inside of the top 10. She's just done absolutely amazing here in this race. As we are past the halfway mark, Terry Walker continues to lead the charge. Russell Blaze losing a little bit of ground to the 69 to the 48 of Terry Walker. Cologne trying to do everything he can to get around Blaze, but so far just hasn't really had any luck whatsoever getting around the prime machine of Blaze. 96 laps complete here in the Southern 500. Now these drivers, of course, they wound up stopping right around lap 75. So I would expect these drivers to be back on down pit road. I want to say right around lap 115, if anything. Here goes Cologne to make the challenge. Not able to get that corner entry speed or that straightaway speed as far as staying tucked within the draft of the 69 of Russell Blaze. How about let's talk about Bruno Diacomo here for a second, because ever since the WRLA came back and at Michigan, I'd want to say Bruno Diacomo has slowly been coming into the picture and has really been performing extremely well. Appalachia Motorsports as a whole, even if you throw Bruno Diacomo in the mix, has not really been performing absolutely stellar. They've had a very abysmal start to the season, obviously with Caleb Rose not finding any sort of luck when it comes to getting the points that he needs or the finishes that he needs in order to be around the top 10, top 15 spot in the point standings. Up until this point, Caleb Rose has done a very nice job of recovering his season and getting it all turned around. Bruno Diacomo now starting to get his season turned around. Diacomo, as of right now, I do believe he is another one of those drivers that is, I think, just outside of the top 25 in the point standings. And actually, I might as well go ahead and look here, because coming into this event alone, Bruno Diacomo is 30th in the point standings. A great run so far here in the Southern 500, running in the 5th position. Diacomo could be well on his way to a top 5 finish here at Darlington, which I believe Diacomo has earned a top 5 finish before this year, but if he hasn't, this would be his first top 5 of the year. And that would be very impressive in and of its own. Caleb Rose, who was shown 19th in points when we reviewed them at the top of the show. Currently, Caleb Rose sits in the 22nd position with 100 laps complete, 84 laps to go, coming to 83 laps left to go this time by, with now 101 laps complete in the Southern 500. Skylar Taylor here in this 41, just slowly chipping away at the gap between themselves and the 25 of Stephen Cologne. That gap has now shrunk to about 0.7 of a second. Just chewing it away at it, lap after lap, as Cologne is going to try to make a challenge to Russell Blaze for the 2nd spot. Getting back down to the inside, unfortunately not able to make it. Actually, hold up. Hold up. Cologne making it stick there, but Blaze with a great corner exit, just getting on the throttle and just blasting right by Cologne. And Blaze is like, see ya, I'm out of here. I got a points lead to grab. And I would definitely say, other than Nashville, this is the most competitive I've ever seen Russell Blaze. Just in this head, of course, we've talked about it before, just being in this headspace where he really wants this points lead because he knows it's right there. It's literally within reach. Just 5 points currently separate him and Terry Walker in the points standings. A win today or even a great finish would still obviously keep him within arm's reach of that points lead that Terry Walker currently has. But I think it would just put him in a little bit of a closer spot, you know, as far as, you know, this points championship goes, obviously, for sure, because, you know, after today, where I do believe we're going to have ourselves 6 races left in the Pepsi Cup Series season. Let me go back and actually look at the Pepsi Cup Series schedule, because after this week, we've had ourselves a little bit of a schedule change, if you will, because on September 12th, we will not be going to the Bristol Motor Speedway. Instead, we will be going to the Minnesota Raceway Park. And folks, after doing some testing, you guys are absolutely going to love this race. It's going to be a barn burner. I mean, there's a few other drivers that have tested at this racetrack. Wyatt Walker's tested there. Sean Ard, who was a former commentator for us a few years back in 2020, he took a look at the race in the testing that we've had over at Minnesota, and he absolutely had his socks blown off based off of what, you know, he was seeing. So we're gonna have ourselves some very fantastic action over at the Minnesota Raceway Park, and we can't wait. That action will start on the 12th of September, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But after Darlington, going back to it, we will have 6 races left after this season is all said and done. And we just missed a pass here for 3rd place. Skylar Taylor has essentially caught and passed the 25 of Stephen Cologne, and Taylor is on a charge to try to get back into the 2nd position. Remember, Taylor's trying to go for their 2nd win of the year. Blaze, same case for him. Stephen Cologne, as we mentioned, trying to go for win number 3 on the season. Rogel Dorn has gotten by Bruno Diacomo here for the 5th position. And we are just a few laps away from our 2nd round of green flag pit stops. Look at this fight take place here for 2nd as Skylar Taylor's going to take it downstairs, or at least try to, on the 69 of Russell Blaze, but was not able, obviously was nowhere near that, nowhere near Blaze whatsoever. So unfortunately, Skylar Taylor's going to have to regroup and try to get after it again before we get our 3rd round of green flag pit stops underway. Right now, a half a second separates Blaze and Walker on the racetrack right now. And as I mentioned, this points battle between Walker and Blaze is going to be, it's a very, very close one at that. And Blaze is very hungry to try to take this the top position in the point standings away after tonight. If not tonight, then definitely in Minnesota in 2 weeks. And Skylar Taylor once again tried to get to the inside of Blaze there heading into turn 1, but just was not able to make anything stick there. And here we go. Russell Blaze surrenders 2nd to come to pit road on lap 112. Our third round of green flag pit stops is getting ready to start. Is there anybody else that's going to be joining Russell Blaze? And it doesn't look like that's going to be the case. With 112 laps complete, 72 laps remaining here in the Southern 500, coming around to complete lap 113, with now coming up to 71 to go. Terry's now going to surrender the lead to come to pit road. Rogel Dorn, Diacomo, and Bonsinger will join. And this is what I've been talking about. We saw it in the second round of green flag pit stops, and we're definitely seeing it in the third round, where strategies are becoming just a little bit more split. And pit stops are getting drawn out just a little bit more. Taylor, who led lap 113, will surrender the lead and come to pit road. Steven Colon will follow, followed by Claire Phillips. And as well as Abby Walker here in this 18. Andrew Miller looks like will join. Martin Nixon, Alexander Rowe, Sebastian Vaughn all join that lineup coming into the pits. That's going to cycle the lead over to Kyle Craven. Another driver who's had himself a pretty strong season for American Motorsports. And now he's going to surrender the lead and come to pit road, bringing Nikki Fox, Ajax Fitzgerald, Zachary Fitzwater, and Valkyrie Atikian along with him, and others, of course. It's going to give the lead over to Emily Anderson here in this number 4. You also have Campbell Marsh now moved up into the second position, at least temporarily. Anderson's going to stay out here, as I believe, yes, Campbell Marsh, Ryan Little, also the 59 of Caleb Rose, Quentin Moore, Jerry Rose, and others. They will come on down pit road here. I believe Nia Steidel missed pit road, or either that, purposefully decided to stay out another lap to try to stretch the fuel mileage. So Steidel currently now holding on to the runner-up spot. I mean, scoring-wise, but we got to be careful here. She's now going to duck low to at least get out of everybody's way. Good heads-up driving for Nia Steidel to drop to the inside and get out of everybody's way, who's currently on 4 fresh tires, as now she's going to surrender the runner-up spot and come to pit road, and Aaron Abel will join as well. And I do believe that will complete our third round of green flag pit stops. And take a look at this. Russell Blaze, who previously stole the lead away from Terry Walker after the last round of green flag pit stops, is going to do it again once Anderson and Seidel cycle back around on the racetrack. Coming back around through 3 and 4 this time by, they're going to catch up to the back bumper of Braden Perez in this 88. Going to try to put him a lap down here in just a little bit, but yes, Russell Blaze is going to go back to the point, followed by Rogel Dorn sitting in the second position. Durrani Racing currently 1-2 as of right now. Terry Walker sitting in third, Bruno Diacomo fourth, Alex Bonsignor completes your top 5. Then it's Skylar Taylor being kicked back to 6th, Stephen Colon being relegated back to 7th, Claire Phillips in 8th, Abby Walker 9th, and rounding out your top 10, that's Nikki Fox in that number 32. And battle for the race lead is on. Here comes the 86 of Rogel Dorn to the inside of his own teammate. Was not able to capitalize on that run there, and will have to tuck back in behind his teammate of Blaze. Here he goes again. Dorn back to the bottom of Russell Blaze, side by side for the race lead once again. But Blaze with that corner exit speed Definitely proving to be very beneficial here for the 69, who's trying to get his second win of the season. Rogel Dorn trying to get his first. Terry Walker looking to chase down the 69 and the 86 once again, who are yet again going at it for the top spot. With Aaron Abel in tow in this 43, just right here in the mix, because remember, Abel currently is 42nd, 1 lap down. He's trying to get back on the lead lap, and so far looks like he's going to do just that. Down to the inside of Blaze, and Blaze is going to let him go. So now all cars are back on the lead lap officially. Will Rogel Dorn make the move again, heading back into turn 1 to go for this race lead? Got the nose peaked to the inside, and here he goes again. Terry Walker just looking on, and will just casually get to the outside of Dorn, or maybe Rogel Dorn actually holding on the bottom, making it stick there, and retains that second position. But for how much longer? Because now here comes Bruno Diacomo and Alex Bonsignor to join the party. They've now made this a 5-horse fight for the lead, with 60 laps to go here in the Southern 500. How about this for Bruno Diacomo and Alex Bonsignor? These two drivers, as mentioned, have not had the best of seasons this year, but they have been able to recover here in this race alone, and so far they're putting together a really great results. And currently now find themselves in this fight for first place that's currently being contested, obviously with Blaze holding on to the top spot, but now with Rogel Dorn and Terry Walker here, and Diacomo and Bonsignor joining the mix, just not too far behind. Dorn going to take a peek to the inside once again on Russell Blaze coming off of turn number 4. They're side by side once again, but advantage 69 around the outside, heading back into turn 1. Dorn once again using that bottom line to his advantage, but Blaze with the corner exit coming off of turn 2 is going to allow him to retain that top spot. Will Terry Walker think about making a run to the inside of the 86? Does not have a good run there whatsoever. Bonsignor trying to go for 4th on the 95 of Diacomo in the meantime. But Dorn not giving up on that inside line, edging ahead through turns 1 and 2. But once again, Blaze with that corner exit speed, just mashing his foot back on the gas. But Dorn is not done yet. Down to the inside, still dead even, almost across the stripe. Blaze leads it by a half a car length, and here comes Bruno Diacomo trying to get to the inside of Terry Walker here for this 3rd position. Coming around to complete lap 129 here in the Southern 500. Looks like Dorn is going to have to give up that fight, at least for the moment. We'll try to go after it again here, possibly here, maybe within the next lap. Terry's trying to take it downstairs, but gets blocked by Rogel Dorn, heading back into turn 1. Dorn with the preferred advantage, well, with the advantage heading on the inside line, but it is Blaze who beats Dorn back on the gas, and Dorn also hit the apron there. That's going to slow you down just a bit. We've seen it time and time again here in this race. And how about Siva Cologne coming into the mix along with Skylar Taylor? Make this a 7-horse fight for the lead. Dorn still trying to make that bottom line work, and it looks like Terry's going to join the party down there. But that might open up the door for Bruno Giacomo to use the outside line to his advantage. But Walker moves back up to the outside, and here comes Skylar Taylor down to the bottom of Bruno Giacomo. This is the fight for fourth. And Taylor is going to easily make that bottom side work and will take that fourth position away. Great acceleration off the corner there for Skylar Taylor. And they get it back to single file formation for now. As Skylar Taylor now is going to look to the inside of the 48, who gets a great run off turn number 4. Going to try to take it downstairs on Rogel Dorn, heading back into the first corner. Not quite the case there, as Walker winds up hitting the apron. And does it again, coming off of turn number 2. That's going to slow him and everybody else behind him down, and will allow the 2 Durrani Racing cars to check out. Dorn again on the attack. Back into turn 1. Skylar Taylor also going to challenge for the 3rd position, but just was not able to make the bottom stick. And here comes Giacomo back around the outside for the 4th position. As Terry Walker still again waiting in the wings in case if anything happens to the front 2. Taylor still trying to use the bottom to their advantage. But Giacomo again with the run on the outside. Here comes Terry Walker with a run on the inside. Not able to make it work yet again as he hits the apron. And he's going to slow down Skylar Taylor behind him. And that will also allow Bruno Giacomo to try to take advantage of that for the 4th spot. As Rogel Dorn yet again trying to get underneath of the 69 of Russell Blaze, but not having as much success as he'd been having previously. The last good handful of laps just a little bit ago on that just incredible fight for that top position that just pulled in Taylor and Giacomo and Bonsignor and Cologne that made this a 7-horse fight for the lead. But now Terry Walker's looking pretty hungry to try to get back around Rogel Dorn for the 2nd position, because he wants to go back to this race lead pretty badly to try to extend that points gap between himself and Russell Blaze. He does not want to see Blaze check out with this race lead. And in the words of, Daniel Voiles, if you will, Rogel Dorn is being an absolute great teammate, if you will, because Rogel Dorn, even if in the process he's still trying to go for his top spot on his teammate of Russell Blaze, he's also doing a great job of playing defense, if you will, trying to do everything he can to keep Terry Walker behind him. And that is honestly great news for Blaze, as Dorn kind of checks up there a little bit as Walker moves up high. Can the 86 slam the door? Yes, he does. But he's going to get right back down to the bottom. Heading through turn 1 and 2. Actually not going to be... I don't even know what I was really saying there anymore. But Skylar Taylor still trying to do everything they can to get around the 48 of Terry Walker. But Bonsignor is right there on the attack. This is the fight for the 4th position. Bonsignor trying to get a successful, we're trying to get a really good finish here tonight. Same goes for Giacomo. If they both finish exactly right where they are, this would be a fantastic night for them. This would be everything that they need in order to get their season turned around, and I really hope that this is the night that Alex Bonsignor is able to get his season turned around. That is for sure. Meanwhile, further up at the front of the field, here comes Terry Walker getting down to the inside of Rogel Dorn. Or at least try to. Yet again, was not able to pull up alongside of Dorn there. And now is going to hold up everybody else behind him. And look at Claire Phillips in this 5. Phillips has slowly run down everybody else. So that's pretty much fighting for this 3rd position, or at least trailing behind Terry Walker, who's literally doing everything that he's able to do, or at least everything that has been working for other drivers to gain positions for the most part. He's tried to get to the bottom of, try to get to the inside of the 86 of Rogel Dorn to try to get the 2nd position. He's also held off Skylar Taylor for 3rd. And now here we go again, with Rogel Dorn trying to work the bottom of Russell Blaze and not having as much success as he would have liked to there for Rogel Dorn. And around this time, we should, we're getting close to what would be and possibly is going to be our final round of green flag pit stops. It has been very impressive that we have gone caution free here within these last 143 laps here in the Southern 500, closing in on 40 laps to go. And even if we haven't had any cautions, we've had ourselves a I'd say pretty good, calm, and pretty clean race, if I may say, with lots of great action almost all the way around the racetrack, especially up here, with pretty much now 8 cars thrown under a blanket, if you will, all close together, nose to tail. Dorn still trying to knock on the door for the top spot. And that might open up the door this time. That's everything that Terry Walker needed right there, as he gets to the outside of Rogel Dorn, and that will put him back in the 2nd position. And now Terry Walker can chase down Russell Blaze, but here comes the 86 of Dorn right back on the attack again. Walker tries to take it downstairs. Obviously not close enough to make the pass just yet. But Rogel Dorn is following right in the tire tracks of the 48 of Russell Blaze. Or of the 48 of Terry Walker. Blaze is still leading the charge, actually. And here goes Rogel Dorn yet again. Back down to the inside. Not able to make it stick there. The top 2 in the points standings, but in a different order. Blaze trying to take the points lead here tonight. And of course, Terry Walker trying to extend and retain that points lead here after tonight, because again, after this race there'll be 6 races left before we decide who the champion is going to be at the Homestead Miami Speedway in November. And just also keep this in mind too, after the championship race at Miami, we will have the 2 races that we'll be making up 2 races. Of course, the Coca-Cola 600, which was supposed to be run on Memorial Day weekend, that will be held on Veterans Day, Tuesday, November the 11th, and then on November 15th, which is a Saturday, we'll be running at Pocono, and that will conclude the 2025 season. Both of those races will be non-points races, because after Homestead, those points will be a lock. Rogel Dorn, as we see right here, makes the move to get back around Terry Walker for 2nd, and will once again set his sights on his teammate of Russell Blaze for the lead. Coming up on 34 laps to go. And we should be closing in around the time where pit stops are going to be a factor. And look at this in the background. Claire Phillips and Bruno Diacomo fighting for position, but they are losing ground to these other 6 cars as they're fighting it out for position. Alex Bonsignor moves his way up to the 4th spot. And here we go. The final round of green flag pit stops are getting ready to start. Blaze comes on down, followed by Terry Walker. This is interesting. Terry Walker, Alex Bonsignor, Skylar Taylor, and Bruno Diacomo. They're all going to follow Russell Blaze on down pit road to start off our final round of green flag pit stops. This is going to be very interesting as to who's going to get out first. Dorn is going to surrender the lead. We're going to keep our eyes on this right here as to who is going to get out first. Blaze on the 4 tires already. The right sides are on. Now they're going to go to the left sides. A little bit slower on the left sides for Terry Walker. And Russell Blaze is going to get out first, and Bonsignor comes out second. What in the world? Trouble for Terry Walker. Very slow on that pit stop right there. Did everything right up until the very last few seconds. Was not able to get out ahead or at least around the 69 of Russell Blaze. Trouble there for Terry Walker. That is going to hurt in the championship fight. Tanner Parton currently scored as the race leader, but now he's going to surrender that top spot and will come on down pit road along with Nikki Fox and Valkyrie Atikian. Clifton, Roberto Crown Jr., and others will come on down pit road as well. Look at this right here. Look at this congestion, this huge hornet's nest of cars that have yet to come on down pit road. There's CG Holt, Aaron Abel, Nia Steidel, Nathan Stapleton, another driver that is yet to come on down to pit road. And I think we might see it right here. And there they go. Whitlock, Moore, Wyatt Walker, and others. They're all going to surrender their positions and come on down into the pits. And everybody else, even Aaron Abel, Nathan Stapleton, they're all going to get absolutely passed right on by. Even Martin Nixon as well, because they're on much older tires compared to all these other cars that made their stops. And after all of that, I do believe this is going to cycle the lead. It should, and it will cycle the lead back on over to Russell Blaze in the 69. Emily Anderson, I do believe, is already in the pits. Or is already, I do believe, might be making her way back out onto the racetrack. Or probably already has. I might have missed her. Well, there's CG Holt, and now Emily Anderson has made her way onto pit road, in which that means your new race leader will be the 69 of Russell Blaze. And we're going to run through your top 10 here in just a little bit once these drivers cycle back around to the start-finish line. With now coming up to 27 laps to go here in the Southern 500. Your new race leader, officially Russell Blaze. After a very successful pit stop, gets out ahead of Rogel Dorn, who once again now sits back in the second position. Skylar Taylor in third, Stephen Colon fourth. Alex Bonsignor, whom I thought was going to be second, but he rounds out your top 5 regardless. Claire Phillips in 6th, Bruno Diacomo in 7th. Terry Walker gets relegated back into the 8th position. Andrew Miller showing up inside of the top 10 for the first time today. He is 9th, and Skylar Taylor rounds out your top 10. Look at this fight for the lead here between Rogel Dorn and Russell Blaze. They know There's a lot at stake, especially for Blaze, because he really wants this points lead and he wants to grab his second win of the year and third overall for Durrani Racing. But you also got Rogel Dorn, who really wants a win as well. I believe he's going to be just as hungry as Russell Blaze is when it comes to trying to get that points lead away. Dorn just wants a win this year. That's all he wants, is just a win. In this case, it's going to be a battle of who's greedier, who is more greedier. The battle of the greed, if you will, between these two right here. Dorn takes it right back downstairs on Russell Blaze, almost dead even down the front straightaway. Blaze leads it by a half a car length across the stripe, but here comes Dorn yet again. Great run on corner entry, but Blaze will have the great run on corner exit. Claire Phillips is going to move up into the 5th position. Bonsignor is going to fall back to 6th. But this 86, man, is giving Russell Blaze a run for his money right now. With 23 laps remaining in the Southern 500. Boy, this would absolutely be huge. Not only if Russell Blaze could win this race, obviously he would most likely take the points lead after tonight if Blaze does win the race. But for Rogel Dorn, if he were to win this race, that would absolutely be huge for Durrani Racing, because that would mean all 3 cars would have already gone to victory lane this year. And that is, in and of its own, I think would be a pretty cool testament for Durrani Racing. But they would also not mind taking the points lead in the process of that as well when it comes to Blaze. But they are still fighting pretty dead even across the stripe. Like I said, it is the battle of who is more greedy and who is going to do anything it takes to get this win. Dorn edges ahead coming off of turn number 2. But Blaze using that corner exit speed to his advantage to pull up dead even alongside his teammate. And Rogel Dorn is going to clear up in front of the 69 of Russell Blaze, so put the 86 of Dorn to the lead with 20 laps to go. Stephen Cologne tried to make a pass here for the 3rd position on Skylar Taylor, but was not successful in that bout whatsoever. And if you're wondering where Terry Walker is on the racetrack, here he is right there, trying to hold off Andrew Miller, who's trying to use the bottom line to his advantage to try to pick up a spot here on our current points leader as of right now, who probably is not going to have the points lead after tonight. But I'm pretty certain that even if Rogel Dorn were to win this race, Blaze is either going to take the points lead away from Terry Walker when we go to Minnesota in 2 weeks' time, or number 2, he's just going to be ever so closer. In this, he's just going to pull himself ever so closer to Terry Walker in this championship fight. This is getting absolutely interesting between Blaze and Walker here in the closing stages of the 2025 season. Rogel Dorn now starting to check out from Blaze. And that's going to put Skylar Taylor, all over the back bumper of the 69. Skylar Taylor wouldn't mind going for 2nd on Russell Blaze, but that is definitely not what Blaze wants whatsoever. He does not want to lose any more spots, because that would mean, if that's the case, he wouldn't be able to gain anything when it comes to the gap that Terry Walker has over him. Well, really, he wouldn't get any closer to Terry Walker if he were to lose any more positions. They would be right about the same. If not, Walker would have a little bit more of a slightly larger gap, if you will. Because remember, I would believe, obviously Terry Walker got the bonus point for leading a lap, but I would say that Terry Walker would also clinch the 5 bonus points for leading the most laps. But I think the only way for Russell Blaze to either just barely take the points lead away or stay within arm's reach is to either finish in the top 5, get a top 5 finishing position, or just win. But so far, he has not made any sort of progress in chasing back down his teammate, who has checked out by a little over a half a second, heading through 1 and 2. Rogel Dorn trying to search for his first Pepsi Cup Series win. He managed to come out of the woodworks in the WRLA McDonald's Cup Series last year to win at Kansas, and he had been pretty strong and consistent ever since then last year. But here we are in the WRLA Pepsi Cup Series this year. Has not had a strong season, has not had the strongest season, but hasn't had the weakest one either, but had been sort of overshadowed by the success of Quentin Moore and even Russell Blaze this year. Obviously, with Quentin Moore finally getting his first Pepsi Cup Series win at the Auto Club Speedway back in the spring. And then over the summer, Russell Blaze finally getting his first win, but also had been performing very strong throughout the year. But for Rogel Dorn, he had slowly turned everything around, and if he's able to hold off the field for the final 11 laps coming up here, he will already have a Pepsi Cup Series win under his belt. Still currently holding on to the lead by a half a second over his teammate of Blaze. 10 to go, or at least 11 to go this time by. It'll be 10 to go next time around for Rogel Dorn. The gap has grown by 3/100ths of a second between himself and Russell Blaze. Taylor, Cologne, Phillips, Bonsignor, and there goes Bonsignor moving up to the high side. But everybody is strung out just far enough to where it's going to be a little bit difficult to gain any sort of track position, but a little bit easier to lose it if you're not careful here. Skylar Taylor tried to use the bottom to their advantage, and unfortunately it didn't quite work out. They're going to lose some ground here to Blaze, and that might open up the door for Stephen Cologne or maybe even a Claire Phillips to try to capitalize on that. Cologne's going to try to take it downstairs, but not going to get anything out of that. To no avail. Coming down to 8 laps remaining. The gap between the 86 and the 69 has grown by now 2/3. Rogel Dorn now starting to check, is now really starting to check out here. Another 5/100ths of a second. As that gap starts to grow just a couple smidges. Take a look further in the back of the field. It looks like Andrew Miller tried to take the 8th spot away from Terry Walker, but that doesn't look like that's going to be the case there, as Miller starts to slide back and almost fell into the clutches of Abby Walker, who currently is having a great showing here tonight. Our race winner from Iowa, right now rounding out your top 10 as of right now. Saw Stapleton there just a little bit ago. Currently now running in the 42nd position, dead last here for Nathan Stapleton. Definitely not the night he wants. He's just at this point, he's just like, get me out of here. Let's pack up and get ready for Minnesota in 2 weeks' time. And again, that race will go down on September 12th, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That race is going to be a barn burner, if anything, and we hope you guys, we hope you folks will join us at the Minnesota Raceway Park. That race will be an absolute festival, if anything. 5 laps to go. As Rogaldorn continues to pull away and grow that lead on Russell Blaze, Skylar Taylor is looking to grow, is growing a little bit impatient. Now it looks like they're going to fall into the clutches of Stephen Cologne, who's going to get to the outside of the 41. And we'll capitalize on trying to grab this 3rd position away, but Taylor using the bottom to their advantage, but not for much longer right there. Cologne just holding on to 3rd, and this time the 25 will clear Skylar Taylor for the 3rd position, and Claire Phillips is going to be on through to 4th. How about this run for Claire Phillips? This will be a stellar night for not just Claire Phillips, but also for Alex Bonsignor, even Bruno Diacomo, Andrew Miller, who are needing really great runs tonight, and they're going to get them. As long as they can hold on to where they're at with 3 laps to go here in the Southern 500. About a full second now between Rogaldorn and Russell Blaze. In a caution-free Southern 500. Currently, as of right now, we have 2 more laps to go before we can officially say this race has been caution-free. Rogaldorn has done an absolutely masterful job here in this event. But as we come down this time by, they're going to face the white flag. This time by, coming off of 4. White flag is waving. 1 lap to go for Rogaldorn. Rogaldorn came into this race 27th in the point standings. Working his way down the backstretch one last time. He's done an incredible job of growing the gap between himself and Russell Blaze. And now finally, all 3 Durrani racing cars are going to visit victory lane. Rogaldorn wins the Southern 500. Not the best place to stop the camera, but Russell Blaze will come home in the 2nd position, so close to win number 2 on the year. But the 2nd place finish should be enough to either grab the points lead away from Terry Walker or just stay within arm's reach. Stephen Cologne will finish 3rd. Claire Phillips, great run for her. She'll finish 4th. Alex Bonsignor completes the top 5, followed by Skylar Taylor finishing in 6th. Then in 7th, Bruno Diacomo. Terry Walker will finish in 8th. Then in 9th will be the 96 of Andrew Miller. And Abby Walker will round out your top 10. But what a drive. What a drive for Rogaldorn. Here in the 86. Now all 3 of the Durrani racing cars have visited victory lane this year, and I do believe, if I'm correct, they are now the only team this year that has had all of their cars go to victory lane. Of course, we had we've had Abby Walker, of course, win for Walker Family Motorsports. 2 of the EGI cars have visited victory lane this year. Yeah, that's so far. I mean, that's currently the case. Now, all 3 of the Durrani racing cars have visited victory lane. It's been a caution-free race. Nobody went out of the race. We've had a few instances of drivers being at least one lap down, but everybody finished on the lead lap. So it has been a pretty clean, I'd say pretty clean, but definitely an action-packed race at Darlington. A little bit more action-packed than what I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be a repeat of the NRLA McDonald's Cup race from last year, but that definitely was not the case. Caution free, had some great racing all the way around. Some drivers were using the bottom to their advantage, and at the end of the night, it was Rogel Dorn coming out of the woodworks and winning the Southern 500 over his teammate Russell Blaze, who is still, I would definitely imagine, is either going to be the points leader leaving here tonight at Darlington or staying right within arm's reach of that points lead that Terry Walker may or may not have, because I would definitely say if Terry Walker still has the points lead, I mean, hey, that eighth place finish saved him. But by how much, we're going to find out here in just a few minutes time. If you are in the WRLA Discord, be sure to keep an eye over there for the points to release. That is, if you're watching the premiere on YouTube, keep an eye on the WRLA Discord for the points after tonight here at Darlington. And if you're watching over on the YouTube channel, if you guys like this, be sure to hit the like button. And if you haven't considered subscribing yet, I recommend you do so in order to keep up with some fine content coming out in the near future. And if you're watching over on the Twitch channel, be sure to hit the follow button so you don't miss future streams. And that pretty much is going to do it. After a pretty action-packed night here at the Darlington Raceway, Rogel Dorn comes home as a race winner. Big congratulations to him. Thank you guys so much for watching. In 2 weeks' time, we'll be at the Minnesota Raceway Park on the 12th of September at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. That is going to be a very fun night of racing, and it's going to be a barn burner. We hope that you guys are able to tune into that one. But until then, we'll see you guys in a couple weeks' time in Minnesota. Have a good night, y'all.